this ticket doesn't have to be even remotely, by any definition of successful, to be problematic, right? I mean, there are Democrats in this town still talking to their therapist about Jill Stein, who, was barely eking out single-digit percentages in these key states, and that made the difference. I think I'm in the camp that sees this as more of a concern if you're Joe Biden. I mean, to your point about you need the folks who kind of hate everybody to see Joe Biden as the only alternative. I mean, to his line about don't compare me to the Almighty, compare me to the alternative. If there's additional alternatives, I think that's worse. The Biden campaign has always put Donald Trump in this box as an existential threat, right? It's this guy cannot get the keys again. But to suggest that there's somebody else who might is still a problem.
Doesn't this also speak to perhaps what is the biggest worry among Democrats about President Biden is lack of enthusiasm? That there'll be people who will be excited to turn out perhaps to vote against Donald Trump, but there are worries about are there enough people out there excited to vote for President Biden?
Right. I mean, President Biden, I think, is doing a historically phenomenal job. Does everybody feel that yet? No, they do not. And I think the team understands that when it's Trump versus Biden, the existential threat being Trump, and there are no other alternatives, they do well. And I think even if there's, re-elects are hard, and at this point, more than a year out from the election, you're always going to have a lack of enthusiasm among your supporters. But that existential threat is still going to be there come November of 2024, when we expect that Trump is going to be the nominee. And I feel confident that the Biden team will be able to turn out the same amount of people that we needed in 20 to win. And I've seen last week on Friday, Lemire, we had that poll in the show that showed that the third party candidate actually might help Biden as opposed to Trump. But it's really, the Biden team just does not want unknowables. They want as much certainty as possible. Let's just do this again. The same rematch, the same issues at stake, the same, democratic stress test for the country, and have the same rematch. And just any kind of variable is really threatening. And I don't think they're wrong to fear that. It's not paranoia. You want as stable a race as possible.
There are Democrats in this town still talking to their therapist about Jill Stein.
There's another wrinkle with this campaign, Amy. You've got some analysis on the idea of a third-party candidate. There's been a lot of buzz, at least around in D.C., the last couple of weeks about no labels. I don't know they've caught on nationally just yet. But certainly it's alarming people, particularly Democrats, who fear that this could be, if they were to put forth a third-party candidate, maybe a Senator Joe Manchin, who we're seeing there, that can only hurt President Biden.
Right. Because there's some of this is political PTSD, right? Democrats you don't have to look very far back. 2016, you look at those third-party candidates, you go, but for those third-party candidates, Hillary Clinton would be president. Ralph Nader in 2000. So understandable why Democrats would be worried about having a third-party candidate, especially one who presents as No Labels presents this person as an independent moderate, winning back those suburban voters who weren't really into Joe Biden, but didn't like Donald Trump. Totally understand that.
There are Democrats in this town still talking to their therapist about Jill Stein. There are Democrats in this town still talking to their therapist about Jill Stein.